It's Courageously Living You. How is everyone today? I am Audra and this is
Sandy.
And today's topic is going to be living from the end. And we're going to explain what that means to live from the end. And we know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's the truth. And it will get you to where you want to finally go.
Right. So what does living from the end mean? It means living a different life, which is like, what? How do you live from the end when you're in the present? Well, what we're talking about is instead of leading with what you see and feel all the time around you, which is opportunities, challenges, ups and downs.
Or the past even.
Or the past gets brought in a lot. That you begin to say, I want something different. And that's what living from the past means.
Living from the end.
Living from the end.
Yes, we're used to living from the past.
Yes, and now we're talking about
rinse and repeat all day, every day.
Yes.
So now we're talking about living from the end.
Yes, exactly. And that means living from your desires, your dreams, some things you've wanted, some things you think about, and that's the end we're talking about. So that you really begin to inspire yourself to think what you want and list it even. Write it down if you want to, but that's a good idea. But you want to be getting to you and not living robotically.
Or by default or history.
Yes, because when you're not making a choice, you really are living by default. In that moment, you're living by default by not using your voice or giving an opinion or being heard. So that's important for us to know that there's a default button that we fall back into. And then that brings up the reason about why we say living from the end, because you can't blame anybody that you're not living the way you want when you have your lips sealed. So we want you to start talking to yourself first and then begin to talk to others, not about what you desire, not about what you dream, and not about what you want. I really recommend, and I don't know how Audra feels about this, that when you start this journey, you make it a private one till you understand what's going on, because you can't go to your friends who you're just learning and then you're trying to and they're trying to and you're like, oh boy, now I'm really living from, I'm not sure, confusion.
Yeah, because when you do that, you get their opinion and you're just learning yourself. So it's best to just keep it to yourself and make it like a cherished moment. And for me, I live from the wish fulfilled, it already happening. Like that's, like desire is really good, but what locked it in for me is like the living from the end. The wish is already here. Everything's already here. That just resonates with my soul. And I do agree that we're so used to sharing that then we get everyone's opinion and then it doesn't really align with your wish fulfilled or your end desire.
Well, it gets diluted and
right.
All of a sudden it's gone again.
Exactly. Then you forget your wish fulfilled, you forget your living in the end and the desire, because you have to push it off your table to say, I'm in a different space now.
Yeah, and you begin to apologize for your change.
Right.
But we're not, and we're asking you to share that, because when you get a handle on that, then you can share that they too can live from the end and live from the wish desired, live from what they've really dreamed of, and all those ideas that you come up with when we talk about living from the end. Those are reality to you, and it's up to you to bring them in. And we want to show you how to do that and teach you how to do that. So you can assume that everything is already here, and it is. The reason we don't recognize it is because we were living in the past. And it can't get through the past. It has to be in the future, and the now and the future, and it has to be yours.
Right.
So those three requirements recall you to sent and fronted for you and you alone.
Yes.
And
bringing, like, if we explain more of like the future, you're actually like bringing your future self, which is already here now, into the now and aligning with that. That's how I do it.
Okay.
So I like pretend I'm already that I asked my future self, what do I do in the now? And I kind of collapse the time and bring it into the present.
Okay.
That just works for me.
Okay.
So you can take that one and use it.
Right. Or you can picture yourself at the top of the mountain already fulfilled, because you look down and you see yourself down there, which is a little sick person. And then you get to the top of the mountain and you say, I did this. I did this with my ideas, my desires, my feelings, what I really wanted out of life. And picture yourself at a higher level instead of at the bottom looking up that looks unsurmountable. So when you look down and think about your desires, what would I want that climb to be? It just brings more questions, which is what we want from you to do, is bring those questions. How do I want my relationship? And then stop there and start writing something down. How do I want my career to go? Stop and write just a few clues about it. Because later on, when you go back and you visit those lists, they really generate, well, I do know what I want in my career. I do know that I'm satisfied and I'm even happy there, but there's more. We're asking you to expand into the more of you, and the more of you is that huge heart you have, and it's filled with desires, and it's filled with wanting things to be different. So let me see here. So you begin to assume that you can have it, and then you say, what? How can I assume I already have it? You can assume because it's already here. When you think about how God created the world, He created it and He finished it. It was done in 6 days, and the last day was resting, right? That meant it was all here, and it's all for you. It's all for us. It's all for all. So you know it's here. It's just that we've had the blinders on, like the horse blinders. And we base that on family values, family doings, friends, what they say. And what happens is the blinders become our path instead of pulling them back and taking them off and saying, wait a minute, there's a much bigger world out there, and I want to think about it differently. So instead of habitual and past thinking, we begin to create what we want. That's why we're saying as soon as you start this process of living from the end, or living from what I want, or living the desire, you want to write down every category you think of when you're not feeling right, especially.
Right. And how would it feel if you already had the 10 million in the bank? How would it feel if you already had love here? You have a different feeling. How would you feel? How does it feel? You have to bring the feeling into that. Like, the wish is already fulfilled. So are you acting like your old self, which is by default, or are you living from the feeling, which is, oh my God, it feels so good. I'd never have to worry about money. It's already here. It comes to me. You really have to milk those feelings and live in those feelings of the art that it's already here.
Yes, right. It's
So
available to you.
Yes.
And you knew that when you incarnated.
Yes.
You knew that
You
the world
set it
was
all
complete
up.
and set it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a learning process, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, why did it take so long? Well, it takes us a while to get there because we have to go through certain steps to realize who we're listening to, who we're paying attention to, and then switch that kaleidoscope to, this is the color I want now. This is what I want to see now. This is what joy I want in my life now. So all those things become real, but more real, much more real when you begin to, you are the thinker now. That's what we're saying. You be the thinker for yourself, because it's all open to you. It's all available to you.
And it's always about you. It's never about anyone else.
No, it is not.
So whatever you want, you get to have. And so if you want a life that you're in alignment with, you bring the future into the current. And you live from, I'm already at the top of the mountain. How did I get there? And you can ask yourself, how did I do these steps? And your higher self will tell you, well, you go this way, you align to this, you start aligning to the good, you start aligning to your truth, which is now You're living from the end on the top of the mountain, and you just keep going. You don't align any longer with that person that felt like a victim, that person that took everything personal, that person that had the other relationships that served you but now no longer serve you.
Right. And I always want to remind myself that when I talk about the future is in the now. It is now.
Right.
So you picture it further down the road, because right now there seems to be a difference. But really the future is the now. So you got to kind of wrap your mind around that, knowing it's already there. It is the now.
Yes, and if you're having trouble changing that belief, you're in the old belief. So you have to work with, no, I no longer believe that. I'm choosing to believe this, and now I'm going to bring and align that by joy, by feeling better, by letting go, all those new steps, because you're in a new reality, basically. You're creating a new reality in the now.
Yeah, you're stepping into the real you, the real reality of you and what you want for yourself. Right. So it's just phenomenal when you begin to get this today to you, thinking, what are they talking about? You will get it when you begin to see the contrast. And the minute you see that, a friend will say something and you'll go, I don't really agree with that. An inward comment where you see that, I don't think I want to believe it, and I don't think I'm going to continue. So you make a note, an internal note, and then somebody else says something else, and you begin to see, oh my gosh, I do have a person in there. Mm-hmm. Because now he.
It's like a waking up to yourself, which is the truth, which is really living heaven on earth, I think, versus like the hell of the past of constantly in that hamster wheel. You step off the hamster wheel and you start to notice you're off the hamster wheel, and you start aligning to the person on the mountain, the higher self that already has it all. And you start aligning with that versus getting on that constant hamster wheel. Well,
you wake up, you begin to have some consciousness, which you don't notice it till you notice the contrast. And then you're like, this is it. This is what they were talking about.
Right.
It's the contrast, because now you have somewhere in there, consciousness came to you and you met it on one-on-one, and you said, I don't want this. You never thought you would say that or even think that. Mm-hmm. That's consciousness arising up from your heart and soul and saying, you do have a choice. If you know us and know anything about our Courageously Living You, it's about choice, 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 because that's the first thing that God mentioned to me when I had my near death. What did I want? And I was blown away. And I said, what do you mean, what do I want? I thought you called me. And he said, no, you called me. What do you want? And I said, I want to know why I can't have what I want. I can't. And he said to me, you can have what you want. You can have it all. It is all yours. It's a guarantee. But you have to choose it. And I went, oh my gosh, I can't even believe this.
And it takes 5 seconds of courage to choose it.
Mm-hmm. It's a split decision when you know, when you feel in your heart, that's not for me, it's over.
That's your decision. That's how quick it is. That's how quick your choice is. That's how fast you have the courage to say, no, I'm no longer in alignment with that, because you feel it anyway first. You feel it in your heart that it's not working to stay in that repetitive patterning. You start to notice nothing's changing. Well, there's your consciousness. Mm-hmm. Noticing that nothing is changing is waking up to you.
Or you realize nothing is changing from that and you can't stand it anymore.
Well, yeah, that's the wake up.
It. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's when you really start to notice here something else is going on. There is more, and that's the start of your awareness, where you become curious. Now you realize you have new choices. Now you have the courage to say something. Now those are all little steps that you're basically creating the new reality for yourself, because you're awake. Mm-hmm. Right. You're not willing to stay asleep, running in the hamster wheel 24/7, doing the same old.
Mm-hmm. So see what you can do with this, and let us know if you have questions. We'd be glad to address them and then take them to the group, because the group who are listening to us are all searching for the same thing.
Yes.
So
yes.
let us know and have a great day.
Yes, everyone enjoy and keep choosing you.